Josh Hawley felt that the video of him scampering out of the nation's capital on January 6th wasn't embarrassing enough. So he has decided to publish a book about how manly he is, Now, Hawley's book, Manhood, the Masculine Virtues Americans Need, builds off a popular speech Hawley delivered at a conservative conference last year, where he lamented the decline of men's unique virtues like courage, independence, and assertiveness. Now, here's a piece of that speech where he talked about how the left in particular is driving men to indulge in porn and video games, because that's what we do. We sit around and we think about, we do like these focus groups on how we can get more people to watch porn. That's all we care about. Let's watch.
The left's attack on America leads directly to an attack on men. Can we be surprised that after years of being told that they are the problem, that their manhood is the problem, more and more men are withdrawing into the enclave of idleness and pornography and video games?
So I don't think being a man is a problem. I think feeling entitled to assaulting women's bodies or controlling women or controlling anyone because you feel entitled due to the fact that you're a man is a problem, right? Look, if I were to take a step back and really express what I am personally attracted to, I am personally attracted to traditional masculinity, but not the kind that right wingers tend to like, not the kind that Proud Boys like to promote, right? I do like courage, I do like independence, I do like assertiveness, I do like feeling protected. I'm a strong woman, I get it. I'm supposed to say I don't need protection. No, sometimes you need it. Sometimes, it feels good to know that you have someone who will step in and defend you if you're in danger, right? I don't have any problems with that. What I do have a problem with is this false narrative that we get from the right wing about how all these men are emasculated because it's the feminist fault. But I think a lot of men feel aimless and they feel frustrated and they don't know where to go in life because of the economy that the right wing has crafted, right? Which basically puts these men at a massive disadvantage if they want to build a life for themselves, if they want to have a family. All of these things that right wingers claim they love, like the idea of people having children, right? You can do that without having some sort of government force involved. You can do that by creating an economic situation where people feel the security necessary to have a family, but they don't want to do that. They just want to use this as a talking point to demonize the other side. And of course, it's just more of the manufactured culture war to distract from the fact that they're not doing a damn thing to make our economic situation better. But at the end of the day, this is just a big nothing burger. And it comes from a guy who looked like a massive wimp running out of the Capitol on January 6th. And he happened to be one of the guys who totally emboldened the big election lies. Rayvon, I'm curious what you think. And Mark, we'll get to you later because as women, we just want to silence you as much as we can and do away with your masculinity. But we do want you to watch a lot of porn, right? So yeah.
I think it's funny, as someone who plays video games, the idea that like men who play video games are not like toxically masculine is absurd to me. I mean, the things that men feel comfortable saying to me once they find out that I'm a woman is ridiculous and shocking. But I'll take the opposite approach to you, Anna. I don't like a traditionally masculine man. Me, like most Gen Z women, like a man who looks like he hasn't seen the sunlight in years, like a sickly man who drinks nothing but soda. But I don't know, like it's really silly because I mean, you look at Josh Hawley or like the other people who perpetuate this, right? You look at Ben Shapiro, or what Matt, the guy who did the really transphobic documentary.
Matt Gaetz.
Well, Matt Gaetz too, but any of
I buzzed in on Matt too early. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, all of those people who preach this traditional masculinity don't fit those descriptions. They don't fit that stereotype, right? Like, I'm sorry, Ben Shapiro, you're 5'3". You are not ever, no matter how big of a cowboy hat you put on, and no matter how high of a heel you have on your cowboy boots, you're always gonna look like a little boy. Like no one's gonna perceive you to be masculine. But for them, masculinity is extremely performative, and they need to affirm their gender identity by playing this character and presenting these ideas to the public, which is funny because then they'll say that, God forbid, a trans person affirm their identity in public. Well, that is all that these people know how to do. It's really silly. But yeah, I think that a strong gust of wind could blow away Josh Hawley. So maybe he should not be out here preaching typical masculinity.
Yeah, and then I'll just add one thing before I go to you, Mark. I just think masculinity means different things to different people, right? And people have different preferences. Like Ravana, I totally respect what you're attracted to. You have the right to be attracted to whatever you like.
Sickly man.
Right? If that's for you, great. But my point is, in my mind, masculinity is a man who is comfortable with who he is, a man who knows who he is confident in that. And yeah, I mean, it's not even about his aesthetic, it's about what he represents. Is he someone who has values that he's willing to defend, someone with principles, right? But they never talk about that. Notice they never talk about that. They always talk about the shallow stuff like, oh, he's watching too much porn, or he's playing video games. Like, what is this, 1960s? Like, let's wrap this up. Let's have a real conversation here. Starting with Mark, go ahead.
It does seem as though the video games thing is a bad bust. It's like a guy who's, from 1985 saying, all those kids with those video games. Hey, dude, maybe you should get hip to the video game situation. And the porn thing, I don't know, he throws it in, but if you look at, I think, Red State consumption of porn, because they track it. All these different porn sites can tell you where the most users are. The per capita use of porn in the red states far exceeds those of the blue. Anyway, so there's that. If you even view those things as negative, that's a different issue completely, and I wouldn't. So as I say, but look, this is something, and I think you so correctly identified this, Anna, that the right wraps themselves in, and it's hate of the left. Anything they can pin on, they're not manly enough, whatever that means. Meanwhile, they fetishize guns, they fetishize the military, they fetishize these sort of toxic masculinity symbols that have more than been undercut. I mean, by now, it must be clear to people, these are such one-dimensional symptoms of masculinity, they don't mean anything. But this, Hawley is also, I'll just say this finally, Hawley is also scrambling. He was completely made fun of, he was mocked by all of America. And that January 6th committee did a great job of pointing out what a one-dimensional a-hole he was by just, with the working the crowd up and then, running for his life. So Hawley needs to come up with something. He's desperate. So he comes up with this, as I say, flimsy manhood thing, and it's positively hilarious. I mean, it really is awful.
Are you saying that Josh Hawley's manhood is flimsy?
That's exactly it.
No, I mean,
breaking news.
The points you were making made me think of how this is really just like, it's a go-to move for a lot of right-wing men, right? Where they come in and they provoke something, right? They come in and they stir the pot, they create a dangerous situation, a violent situation, whatever. They just love to do that. And then they run away, right? We saw it with George Zimmerman, where he follows a teenage black boy in a gated community in Florida. 911 dispatcher tells him, stop following him, and he continues doing it. And then he makes himself out to be the victim when you have Trayvon Martin defending himself because there's a creepy dude following him and threatening him. So that's the same thing that Josh Hawley did. He decided to inflame, political violence in this country. And then the second that he might be facing the consequences of that, literally through the very violence that he provoked, runs away, scampers off like a true man would, right? Final thing I'll just say here, the description for his book on Amazon has some interesting things listed. I want to go to graphic 3 here. No republic has ever survived without men of character to defend what is just and true, like, spewing election lies that leads to violence in our nation's capital, like he did. Starting with the wisdom of the ancients, from the Greek and Roman philosophers to Jesus of Nazareth, and drawing on the lessons of American history, Hawley identifies, this is the part that's relevant, the defining strengths of men, including responsibility, bravery, fidelity, Fidelity. We're talking about Fidelity. Okay, the guy who provided cover for a former president who had, I mean, how many wives? How many times did he cheat on those wives? How much money did he pay in hush money payments to, adult actresses and all of that in order to keep them, hush, hush, don't talk about the affair we had. You're talking about Fidelity. Okay.
Well, the last thing I would say about that too, Anna, is the whole idea that since the dawn of time, men of quality have protected the civilization. Yeah, that's because they've completely subjugated women. Women were not even allowed to be relevant in these societies and these republics that you talk about. It's such an ignorant, one-dimensional view of history, and it's no surprise that it comes out of Josh Hawley.
Super last thing. I thought it was quite funny that he says people who survived and then lists Jesus of Nazareth, famous for surviving.
No, but are you really expecting them to know details about the religion that the religious doctrine that they purport to believe in? Yeah. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. Throw in Jesus wherever you can. Oops, right, yeah.
Let's just end this story with the final video. Here's Capitol Police Officer Michael Fanone telling the world the truth about Josh Hawley.
Well, I mean, to be completely honest, to give you my, the first thoughts that popped into my mind was Josh Hawley is and he ran obviously I see the amusement of it, and I'm not gonna fault people for finding it humorous, but that pisses me off. That guy's a clown.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.